going to tell you a story. This happened a little bit ago. We won't do the math. We're done with math. But it was a bright, warm April morning on the Buffalo River down in Arkansas. The river was flowing at a good pace, and we were all excited to be getting into the canoes. How many of you been to the Buffalo River? Been to the Buffalo River? How many of you have been in a canoe? Okay, so it helps if you have some reference to understand the story. Okay, now I was only 4 years old, and to interject, you're going to have to forgive me. I've gotten over a cold, but I still have all this. So my voice is going to periodically give out. Okay. 4 years old, never been in a canoe before. This was my first time. We were getting in the river. I was excited with anticipation, with not knowing what to expect. Everybody else had been canoeing before. Yes, okay, I'm excited because they're excited, but I didn't know what to expect, right? So I get in, my parents, they knew what to expect. Wave your hands, these are my parents. They happen to be here today. They didn't know they were going to be in my sermon, so. You know, wise parents, good parents, they not only gave me a life jacket, smart, right? They also gave me very specific instructions. What were the instructions, Dad? Stay with the canoe. No matter what happens, hold on to that canoe. No matter what. We might get to some rapids. There might be some rough water. What was I supposed to do? Hold on to the canoe. Yeah, okay. I was 4 years old. I had a life jacket. And what did my father tell me to do? Hold on to the canoe. Never let go, no matter what. So we get in the canoe. We're going down the river. And how many of you have actually canoed on a river with rapids? Mr. Holland. Okay, so it's a little bit different than canoeing across a lake or different things like that. How many of you have ever tried to stand up in a canoe and be stable? The girls are all like, and the guys are like, it's a piece of cake, it's a piece of cake. Okay. So my dad did this thing where he would stand up in the canoe before we got to the rapids, and he was like a scout. He would watch, and he would look for the V in the water, and he would follow that V, and he would paddle. And he'd tell my mom, okay, paddle on the right, paddle on the left, paddle on the right, paddle. Oh, I mean, it was like a drill sergeant. He was like, okay, stop paddling. Okay, now paddle. Okay. And we made it through the rapids, and it was great. We get to the next rapids, and I'm just 4 years old, and I'm just like, yeah, this is exciting. Okay. We get to the next rapids, and my dad stands up again, and he scouts. And we make it through. Paddle on the left, paddle on the right, paddle on. Okay, it's like, okay, here we go. And I was just holding on. You know, my little tiny hands. I was not a big kid. I don't know if you can tell. I don't know how I ended up with tall children, but I was a petite person. And so my tiny little hands, I had a hold of that canoe, and I was just holding on. We made it through, I don't know how many rapids. How many rapids did we make it? Like 4, 5, 6, I don't know. 13 maybe. Mom's like, I've counted. We used to go on the Buffalo a lot. We get to the infamous rapid. Okay? I don't know if it was Gray Rock. Oh, okay, it was. We get to Gray Rock. This is massive rock that essentially makes you have to do a 90-degree turn. I don't remember which direction. And if you're not careful, you're going to hit the rock, and you can imagine what's going to happen. My parents were amazing at canoeing, but the rock was bigger. We hit that rock, and the canoe went over. And it's deep water there. You can't really stand up. So the canoe floats a little bit. My parents get to shore. They're dragging the canoe. They flip the canoe over, and what did they find still in the canoe? Me. I had ridden in that canoe upside down through whirling water, holding my breath for I don't even know how long. A second or two? 30 seconds? 2 minutes? I don't even know. I was just thinking to myself, there's a rock. I had my eyes open underwater. There's a rock. I hope I don't hit my head on it. The water really is cold. I hope they tip me over soon. I don't want to drown. They tip it over. And I'm just like, hi. And my parents are like, were going to have to chase you down the river. You're still here. I held on. I held on. Now, you might think that I was saved because I obeyed my parents. After all, they gave me very specific instructions about holding on to the canoe. Did I obey? Yes, absolutely. Even though everything inside my head was screaming at me to let go of the boat. But I knew I had to obey my parents no matter what. I had to hold on. And even if I didn't know why. Does that ever happen? I held on to the boat when things got rough and the boat flipped. But did holding on save me? No. I still would have drowned if my parents hadn't stepped in and acted quickly. I didn't save myself through obedience. That was a very hard realization. And before you take me outside and stone me like they did Stephen, let me explain. Just kidding. Sometimes we make the gospel complicated. We do. As Christians, we've heard over and over again that we have to do something to be saved, that it's us doing all the hefty lifting of spiritual endurance. He that endures, hold fast till I come. Obedience is better than sacrifice. But is that really how it works? Just like the magnet that draws the objects, just like the balloon with static electricity that draws the paper, it's easy to forget that God is actually doing all the heavy lifting.